The NFL just experienced one of the most groundbreaking shifts in its history, a move that threatens to rewrite how power and money flow through professional sports forever. What unfolded wasn't just a rookie signing a contract. It was a full-scale revolution, orchestrated by a 21-year-old quarterback who refused to play by the league's rules. Shedeur Sanders didn't just join the NFL, he changed it. His deal introduced what's now being called the Prime Equity Clause, a radical new provision that gives him direct ownership and profit participation in all revenue tied to his name, image, and likeness. In simple terms, Shedeur didn't just get paid to play, he made the NFL his business partner. Inside front offices across the league, panic has already set in. For decades, the NFL has operated like a monarchy. The league owns everything, the logos, the players, likenesses, the content, the narrative. But Shedeur shattered that illusion with a contract that said, no more. For the first time, a player's personal brand isn't under the control of the Shield. Every jersey with his name on it, every commercial using his face, every highlight featuring his image, Shedeur gets a cut. This isn't token compensation. It's ownership, it's profit, it's power. To understand how massive this is, you need to realize how rigid the NFL's rookie system has always been. Salaries are fixed based on draft position with limited bonuses and incentives. Players are told what endorsements they can do and when. The league dictates how their image is used. For years, everyone just accepted it. That's how it worked. You wanted to play, you followed the rules. But Shedeur didn't grow up in the NFL system, he grew up in the Shedeur Sanders system. He came in with a business mindset, a full-fledged production company, and an online audience that dwarfs most NFL teams' reach. So when negotiations began, Shedeur didn't show up as a rookie looking for a paycheck. He came as a mogul with leverage. He already had millions of followers across YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch. His behind-the-scenes documentaries and training vlogs regularly go viral. His media empire was already profitable, independent of the NFL. That independence was the key, because when you don't need the league to build your brand, you negotiate from strength. And somehow, against all odds, the NFL agreed. The Prime Equity Clause was approved and written into his rookie deal, a deal worth roughly $4.6 million over 4 years, standard for a mid-round draft pick. But that number doesn't even begin to tell the story. Before his first NFL snap, Shedeur had already generated over $14 million through brand partnerships, personal media, and merchandise sales. His jersey sales alone have passed $250 million in total revenue, numbers that dwarf what most players make in their entire careers. But now, unlike anyone before him, Shedeur isn't just a face on a product. He's a stakeholder in the profits those products create. Every time a fan buys his jersey or clicks on a highlight reel, he's compensated as an owner, not just a performer. That's the nightmare scenario for the NFL's corporate hierarchy, a world where players control their own brands and the league has to share the profits. For a system built entirely on centralized control, Shedeur's contract is nothing short of an earthquake. Behind the scenes, executives are scrambling. The league has always operated under the belief that the Shield, the NFL brand itself, is the ultimate draw. Players come and go, but the league remains supreme. That's how it's always been. But Shedeur's move flipped the hierarchy upside down. The NFL doesn't own Shedeur Sanders, it partners with him. And that subtle change in dynamic terrifies the old guard. The ripple effects are already being felt. Agents are studying the contract line by line. Other rookies are taking notes. Veteran stars are asking why they never had clauses like this. And every future draft pick now has a precedent to point to, proof that brand ownership is not only possible but achievable. The Prime Equity Clause has gone from a legal footnote to a declaration of independence. It's not hard to see where Shedeur got the playbook. His father, Shedeur Sanders, has spent years teaching his sons how to be more than athletes, how to be CEOs. Shedeur revolutionized the college football media landscape, turning every game into a content event and every practice into a marketing opportunity. Shedeur simply brought that same philosophy into the NFL, combining athletic performance with business strategy. He's not just competing in games, he's redefining what it means to be an athlete in the digital era. The NFL, for its part, faces a difficult choice. They can't reverse this contract without looking draconian and anti-player, and if they try to ban similar clauses in future negotiations, it'll only make them look worse to fans who admire what Shedeur has done. The younger generation doesn't want corporate-approved interviews and rehearsed quotes. They want authenticity. They want access. They want players who talk directly to them. And Shedeur gives them that, bypassing the league's PR filter entirely. That's the real danger for the NFL, not just losing control of player contracts, but losing control of the narrative. Fans don't consume sports the way they used to. They follow personalities, not franchises. They care more about who's behind the scenes, what players are thinking, and how they live off the field. Shedeur's entire brand thrives on that connection. He's transparent, engaging, and unfiltered, and fans love him for it. The NFL's polished, corporate storytelling looks outdated in comparison. And this isn't just about one player. This is a movement. Once players realize that they can monetize their personal brand directly, that they can own their image, control their content, and profit from their popularity, the old system collapses. The NFL has built its empire on owning the rights to its stars. But how do you own something that no longer needs you? The league's legal teams are already reviewing every word of that contract, looking for ways to prevent others from copying it. But they're fighting a losing battle. Technology has changed everything. Platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram have given players global audiences. They no longer rely on TV networks or the NFL's promotional machinery to build fame. They can do it themselves, faster, more effectively, and more authentically. Shedeur Sanders is simply the first to take full advantage of this new reality. He entered the NFL with a ready-made business infrastructure, professional production teams, sponsorships, and media partnerships already in place. He wasn't a prospect trying to prove himself. He was a brand entering a new market, and the league needed him as much as he needed them. That's why this contract matters so much. It's proof that the balance of power can shift when athletes take control of their own narratives. The implications stretch far beyond football. If Shedeur's deal becomes the new model, basketball, baseball, and even soccer players could start demanding similar ownership structures. It could mark the end of the traditional athlete-employer dynamic, replaced by partnerships built on equity, transparency, and mutual benefit. It could mean the death of the old sports industrial complex, where leagues profited off athletes while limiting their autonomy. For decades, the NFL perfected that system. They owned the players' images, controlled their appearances, dictated their sponsorships, and pocketed the lion's share of profits. But that world is fading fast. Social media has given athletes their own stages. The fans are following the personalities, not the logos. And when the audience belongs to the player, so does the power. Shedeur Sanders didn't just sign a football contract. He started a revolution, one that could redefine how athletes think about value, control, and independence. His move has exposed the fragility of the NFL's empire and forced the league to confront a future where players no longer play for the system, but with it. So now the question is whether the prime equity clause will change sports. It's how fast it spreads. Will the next generation of athletes follow Shedeur's lead? Will agents make brand ownership a standard demand? Or will the NFL dig in, desperate to preserve control over a structure that's slipping away? Whatever happens, one thing is certain: the balance of power in professional sports has shifted forever. Shedeur Sanders just proved that athletes don't need to wait decades to claim ownership of their worth. They can demand it now. And for a league built on control, that's the scariest play of all. So what do you think? Should every player have the right to profit directly from their own brand, or does this kind of autonomy threaten the structure that keeps professional sports stable? If you were an NFL executive, would you embrace this new model or fight to preserve tradition? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story is far from over. The revolution has just begun, and Shedeur Sanders is leading it.